right, we are live right now. You want to go live over on TikTok, see if we can make it happen?
Sure.
All right, let's go live over on TikTok. We'll see if we can make that happen right now for everybody. Before we get started, we're talking about the K-shaped economy today and the average Americans, man, just getting brutally hurt by what we see going on across the country. Let's go there. You good?
Yep.
Here we go. Welcome, everybody. We are right now getting live just about everywhere so that we can bring you this great show here on, we're doing a little bit early on what was it, Wednesday, Tuesday? Wednesday. It's Wednesday morning right now. We had a holiday yesterday. So, we're a little bit off a little bit, but I think we'll get this thing figured out. All right. Here we go. Tell me when we're ready on your side, my man.
We are all good over here.
Beautiful. And just like that, everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on the Patrick Carr Show, a very unique, very early Wednesday morning show here for us. But we've got, of course, a great one for you. I'm going to be with you for about 35 minutes before we jump back in to what I've got to do with my day. We've got some amazing stories, though, for you, not just about what's happening here in the greater Florida area, but what is happening across this country. And there's a general theme. We have talked about the K-shaped economy on this show before, but the stories that are popping up every single day are showing it to be something that is no longer a theory. As I grab my coffee here, everyone, it's no longer a theory. It is reality, and it is here now. For those of you who don't know what a K-shaped economy looks like, what it means is that the haves keep on having and the have-nots, well, they just get less. If you think about a K, think about the letter, what happens? You have one line that goes up like this. Those are the haves. And then you have the have-nots that go down like that. What happens is that difference between those points on those lines becomes greater. And that's what we're seeing happen in our economy right now. We're seeing that those people who have money, they continue to have more. While your average, let's say, blue-collar worker who's on a fixed income, not making big commissions or not scaling and exiting their business, those people have less money per household. And so they're having to go ahead and suffer in this economy while other people are propping up this economy, and it's showing false numbers across the board. The number one place that I see that is here in Orlando, Walt Disney World. I'm here to tell you the headlines are lying about Disney World. A new study came out just recently and said Disney parks. Let me read this again. Let me say this. Disney parks revenue is up big. I want to go back here. Let's see. I'm going to go back up to the other story right here. I'm going to start with this one up here. So here we go. Yep. It's no bigger place. It's not being shown anymore. Let's see. Sorry, we're live here, everyone. So I want to make sure I get this story correct here for you. All right. So like I said, the headlines are lying to you about Disney. And the way you can see that is let's see here. There we go. Is no greater than a story by Inside the Magic, which reports that Walt Disney World is up 7% in revenue. And you think, oh man, despite all these price increases, they're making a lot of money right now. However, though, attendance is down 1% in Q2 of 2026. And so what you see then now is that revenue is being held up by the wealthy. They're getting more money per capita for the individuals that come to Walt Disney World. But that means they're continuing to raise prices. They announced they're going from $209 to $219. When I see this, Anthony, what people need to understand is that can only be held up for so long. My theory, you will see that attendance will continue to decrease over the next 6 months from 1% to 2% to a 3% drop by the end of the year. That's when the tipping point comes for Walt Disney World, meaning that it can't be held up by the big spenders anymore. It will actually then show that it has already fallen off a cliff right now. They just don't know it yet, or they're just going ahead and pushing it down, rolling it down, that problem to happen at a different time. But we already are seeing the collapse of places like Walt Disney World and others that are being held up by wealthy individuals. And that as we see more and more people that are unable to afford experiences like this, you're going to see the revenue drops, and that's when this economy falls off of a cliff. The numbers are lying to you, everyone. I want to take a look at this. Orlando itself, well, we know about how I feel about that. Let's just say a record 76.7 million people came to the Central Florida area. Then you hear a 1% drop in attendance for Walt Disney World. So more people coming to Central Florida, less people coming to Disney. All right. But yet revenue up for Disney doesn't drop. The numbers only show one thing: more money being spent per capita for the individuals that go there because they have more disposable income. You can't hold on to that forever. It's only a matter of time before that 1% drops becomes a 2 and a 3% drop. It just is, it's not gonna stay that way. And it's a bigger issue in this country, right? And if you want to talk about Disney, the reason we talk about them here, not just because we're in Orlando, but people, you need to understand Disney is a cultural reflection of what's happening in the US as well. Americans used to love Disney, grew up on Disney. When you have people that feel like Disney is out of reach and is no longer affordable for them and their family, you no longer build memories within the Disney culture. So your kids don't grow up watching Disney, which means they don't end up having the experience with Marvel characters at 5 years old that makes them want to go see a Marvel movie. It means they have no idea who these characters are, so that when movies come out, they're not an affinity for those characters. Disney is a reflection of culture, and what Disney is doing right now is they are banking on people that have money while they are forgetting about the people that make Disney special. And if you're the new president of Disney, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but just got named right now. We talked about him last week. You've got to see the writing on the wall. If more people are coming to Central Florida than ever before, and less people are coming to your parks, but your parks are making more money, how the heck do you think that is happening? It's not on the backs of everyday Americans that make your brand special. It's on the back of wealthy and upper middle income Americans who can actually afford to go there. And didn't Disney used to be a place where everybody could come to, where your family could go on a family vacation? It wasn't meant to be for people that are wealthy, Anthony. It was meant to be for everyone. Walt Disney would be rolling over in his grave if he saw this report right now.
Yeah, definitely agree. And if Disney wants to make a change right now, they should definitely lower the prices and just make it a little bit more accessible for everyone, especially in Orlando, where we have all these brand new theme parks opening up, where we have Epic Universe that opened up a year ago, and that's cheaper than going to Disney. So it's like, why am I going to go to an outdated park when I could go to a brand new park that just opened up?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Disney needs to be very careful. We've done a couple stories now about them, okay? And they need to take a look at something like, okay, let's take a look at Sears. I mean, back in the 90s, everybody, Sears was everything. The Sears catalog run the show for households. It was the household name. It was McDonald's. Everybody went to Sears if you wanted to buy something, right? No one thought that Sears could collapse. And in a period of 20 to 30 years, it was done and gone for because they didn't evolve. Right now, when you look at Disney, you have to understand that the foundation of Disney World is the experience and the memories that it gives to people. Yes, its movies are special, but bringing that experience to life, bringing that to some little kid's heart who's able to meet that princess, able to be a part of the world that is magical, is what makes Disney great. And when you take that away from somebody and that opportunity, culture around your business collapses. And Disney right now is saying, hey, listen, we're okay with what we're doing right now. Revenue is up. We're able to go to our shareholders. We're able to show a big, oh, we're doing great. But the numbers under the numbers are showing a dying or dead brand unless they don't do something about it quickly. You're absolutely right. Universal Epic Universe opened, biggest new theme park in 25 years that we've had here. SeaWorld's invested in new rides, and honestly, they've done pretty good lately with their PR. They haven't had a lot of negative PR over at SeaWorld, which for a while we knew was going on. Icon Park in Orlando, or International Drive, that has become a better place for families to go spend a day rather than going to another day of Walt Disney World. And so what I think you're going to see is, yep, you're going to see tourism continue to be steady or slightly above where it's been in the past for Orange County and Central Florida. But you're going to see attendance per day, I should say, you're going to see per day attendance at Disney drop. And that's when the magic stops. The music stops playing, and people realize, and Disney high brass realizes they have done too much, alienated their customer too much, and forgot about who they are. And they are going to have a real uphill battle to try to get those people back again.
Yeah.
So, next story that we have here, a record number of people travel on Memorial Day, but the numbers are showing a stark divide in Americans. AAA confirmed that a record 39.1 million Americans drove, another 3.5 million flew, even though the gas prices were over $4.50, the highest since 2022. But here's the number no one's covering, though, Anthony. 40% of households who make under $66,000 a year didn't travel at all. We again are coming back to the K-shaped economy right here. We are looking at the people that have money traveling, flying, going on family vacations, while individuals right now use the holiday to say, I'm going to stay home, hopefully not run up more credit card debt. In fact, personal savings rates are right now sitting at 3.6%, again, the lowest since 2022, and credit card balances continue to rise for middle-class families. The top half of Americans went on vacation, while the bottom half of Americans were drawing on their savings right now, increasing credit cards, and trying to just find a way to get by this past Memorial Day weekend. This is not a good sign for America. This is the K-shaped economy pointing its finger right at us again and saying, hey, I'm over here. It's happening right now. It's just that companies are not noticing, stocks are not noticing, because the wealthy are holding up this economy, and it can only happen for so much longer. Folks, Memorial Day is remembering those who fought and died for this country. These people in the military right now are not making a lot of money, but yet we are living in an economy right now where the average person serving in our armed forces can't go on a family vacation because they can't afford it. They can't put gas in their car because they can't afford it. And when I see the ignorance out there from some people who own businesses who say, stop complaining about the economy, get out there and do something about it. That is such a stupid and ignorant way of looking at the world, because there are people who find there to be something more important in life and meaningful than money, such as service to country. Maybe you're a nurse and you feel like, you know what, I make a difference in people's lives every day in this hospital. Maybe you're a teacher who feels like, you know what, I do it really good for my kids and I love my kids, but I'm not making a lot of money doing this, but I love what I do. And when I hear entrepreneurs talk down like, oh, we'll just go make more money, go on a side gig, you should be able to make that up, stop complaining. No, let me tell you, people should be able to do a great job in caring for other people and making this world a better place in America, to be able to go on a vacation with their family without having to worry about how are they going to afford it or running up the credit card debt so that their kid can have an experience at Walt Disney World. This K-shaped economy right now is glaring at us in the face, Anthony, and we're not doing anything about it because stock prices look good, spreadsheets look good inside of boardrooms, and private equity has flooded into the market and told us that everything is going to be just fine. But the average American worker is hurting more than ever right now. And that's evident by the fact of who is actually traveling on Memorial Day.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I feel like in a couple of years, we're going to see kind of what happened in 2008, where it's like, oh, the housing crisis. I feel like we're kind of in that bubble right now where at some point it's going to burst and things are just not going to be good for the economy right now.
No, it's not going to be good. And I think that what we're going to find is that while this has been a slow, we're seeing it slowly happen. I think that what's going to happen is in the latter half of this year, Q4, it will fall off of a cliff. Here's what people need to understand about AI. It's exponentially getting better at being able to do things, which means it exponentially will be able to take jobs off of the market. Every day you and I could come up with, I mean, we're about to go into another story where people are cutting jobs right now in a few minutes. We could go into 10 more every single day. Jobs are being lost and they're not being replaced quick enough right now. And that's because there's going to be a gap of time between people who are fired from jobs are able to find new jobs with new skills, and companies adapt to a new world where AI is necessary and they need people in some way to work with that AI. And I don't know what that looks like yet. But that period of time where there is slow adaptation means that there will be people who don't have the money, they need help. And I look at this right now as the next big divide that we have in America between the haves and the have-nots. And it's only just around the corner right now. I think we're about 3 to 4 months away from it falling off of a cliff because of how exponentially better AI is getting. It's not just like a slow growth. It's going like this. Everyone needs to understand. When you have AI, it's going like this. The steeper growth like that, it's getting better and better, easier and easier.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen just since we've been doing this podcast, like all these big businesses just laying off 8,000, 10,000 people. And so it's going to start trickling down because those are companies that they don't really care about the low level workers. They're like, oh, we can replace them. I never met them in person. So, but I feel like we're going to see soon these small businesses who by maybe Q4, they're like, you know what, our profits isn't as good as what they used to be, but I'm like, man, I could lay off 3 of these people and that could save my business right now. And I could just use AI to use these 3 jobs right here and not have to do that. So I could see that right now it's going to these big businesses, but it could trickle down to the smaller businesses as the year goes on.
And it will. And it's going to trickle down to the small businesses once they feel the pain of not being able to compete with larger providers within their region. So if you're a blue collar business and you right now can compete doing 3 to 5 million, but then you see a company get bought up, 50 million company, $100 million company, $300 million company in your area, they consolidate. Now you have to battle against that. So before you felt like, you know what, I can still do well enough to stay where I'm at right now. I make a good living. I'm okay. Now you understand that they're not only going to allow you to keep a good living, they're going to start to take your market share. That is the only time where the American entrepreneur will step up and decide to make a change, is when they start to see these bigger corporations in private equity step in and take their market share away, thus affecting the food on their table, how they make a living for their family. That's when, in my opinion, the American entrepreneur is going to step up and do something about it. The problem is, Anthony, there's going to be a gap of time because they're going to realize it like they are right now. If you're not a small business and you don't realize it's happening, you're just blind. Now you deserve to lose your business. It's happening right now to every single small business that's out there. The question becomes, when are you going to feel enough pain to do something about it? And so there's going to be a gap between the individual learning and going, shoot, I've gotten way behind and need to do something. Oh no. And then actually being able to implement new policies, procedures, work with their customers, turn things around. Now, given it will happen quicker because AI allows it to, but by that time, their market share will have already been taken in part by larger companies who are adapting now. And that gap of time right there, again, is where we're going to see this K-shaped economy just emphasized even more. It's not a good sign with what we're seeing right now if people don't wake up to where we are at and stop just looking at surface level numbers. Start looking at really the shape of the economy and where the money and the revenue is coming from. Now, speaking of small businesses, the city of Orlando has once again failed another small business. Folks, I want to talk about this story because it may be Orlando, but you need to think about your metropolitan area where you live right now. We've been focused on Orlando a lot lately, Anthony. And yesterday, the Attic nightclub posted that after 16 years of being downtown, that this coming Sunday will be their last night. Ownership there wasted no time in who they had to blame for why this operational shutdown is happening. They went right after Mayor Buddy Dyer directly, quote, "When we love a city, you'd think they'd love us back," end quote. For those of you who are not aware, the series of restaurants, nightclubs have just poured out of Orlando include things like Cocktail and Screams, High Tea, One Up, Chillers, Ember, Ira Shannon's, Arena Art Bar, the Broken Strings Brewery. Now you've got Attic all closing in the last 18 months. Broken String called downtown Orlando a ghost town. Even the own mayor of Orlando, I want people to think about this. Our own mayor of Orlando said, quote, pass through Magnolia Avenue is a pass-through area with no identity and no soul. Well, no, because you ripped the soul right out of it. The policies in Orlando are insane. You cannot run a small business. Forget having a bar or nightclub where young people or anybody can just go and have themselves a good time, let loose a little bit like so many downtown areas have. Here's something, I just want to run through this. Think about this if you were trying to run a small business in a downtown area, okay? Think about this one, Anthony. March 2023, after there was a shooting, Orlando passed after midnight sales ordinance. Any venue with more than 50 people have to hire an off-duty police officer at $90 an hour, and they have to pay a fund. Bar owners say that around $1,000 a week in revenue or per venue, and that ends up being $200,000 a year in police fees. 2024, city passes a nightclub separation rule requiring 300 feet between new venues. And after a November shooting, Mayor Buddy Dyer declared a state of emergency on a Friday at 4 p.m. and forced already stocked bars to shut down. And let me tell you what, when you own a bar, the margins are small, which means that then you're losing all of that revenue right there. No one is supporting these businesses downtown, and they are making us, honestly, an active play to shut them down and make it more difficult to do business. And my question to people is, then what? What, you're going to get rid of the good people trying to make a living, trying to run a safe establishment? Because last time I checked here, I don't see any of these problems that happened inside of the exact places that closed down. Where they happened, where they were in the streets, where I guess it's just allowed to sit around and cause trouble. These people are trying to make a living, and yet over and over again, the city has put into policies things that make it more difficult to run a profitable business, and they are losing, and so is the entire metropolitan area of downtown. It's awful, man. It's not going to be much longer. In fact, let's forget it. It is now. Orlando is a ghost town. You go walk downtown. It's a freaking ghost town. In the middle of the day, it looks like it's almost a deserted city in some places. Go over to Church Street and walk down that thing. Go to Wall Street and walk down to deserted. And if you're sitting there and you're a small business, you're like, why should I move to downtown Orlando, right? Well, you would think, oh, I'll move to downtown Orlando because my employees, we could walk down, go to lunch, we get a good environment, which is maybe that's going to make us feel like we're more creative and we're going to central to everybody. But parking is terrible. Good luck with that because you have where you go in as a business owner. Why would you do that? So we've got a parking problem even during the middle of the day because you're paying extra everywhere you go. At night, you wouldn't want to be caught down there because traffic is bad because of all the parking BS problems that they have. It's absolutely terribly ran, and even more businesses are having to shut their doors. Now what? Empty buildings? People just don't go down there? What do you think people are going to do? We still have young people that live in Orlando. We have the largest university. The Attic nightclub was arguably the largest college bar that there was in downtown Orlando. And listen, I'm not college age, but I can appreciate the fact that if you're 23 or 22 or 21 years old and you want to go have yourself a good time, maybe you wanted to go to a place where you could feel safe and then you could have yourself a little bit of fun. God forbid, huh? Well, if it leaves our city council in Orlando and Mayor Buddy Dyer, forget that. Let's just put a crap ton of policies in place and just make businesses leave downtown with no plan of what to do next.
Yeah, because I remember going to the attic when I was in college, and that was cool. You get in the bathtub and everything.
Yeah,
It
the
was
little
like a
bathtub there was good.
thing
Yeah.
and stuff. And I remember going to downtown maybe the last time I was there, maybe a month ago, just because like a couple of my friends are here. So it's like, yeah, let's go to downtown. I think we went on like a Friday or Saturday, like a weekend day. And man, it was dead. I
Yeah.
remember downtown used to be just like they would close the streets down. It was
Yeah.
crazy, just a lot of people, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And then I think ever since COVID, like since 2020, it's just been downhill just exponentially. I don't know. And
Yeah.
even beforehand, there was signs of it, but it wasn't as bad. But just in recent years, it's just been just going down.
I think it might have been. I want to read this and we'll go to the next one. Was it? Yeah, I thought it was 2023 when they had that shooting downtown.
I remember that.
And then I remember showing up there probably about 2 weeks later, and there were metal detectors at every entrance to downtown, like on the streets, like not on the bars, but to actually even get from like the street and park your car. You had to go through metal. Every street to get in there was closed off like a big block, and you had to go through metal detectors. And I'm like, okay, there's something a little bit different and bad going on here. And that's, in my opinion, where they started to use things like that as excuses to put in policies that were going to hurt small business owners. And I know that a lot of people out there who are my age and above don't care about this because they look at it like, well, I don't go to the bars and clubs down there, so whatever, they can do what they want. But it speaks to a bigger issue of what's going to happen downtown. That's what we need to be careful of. I want to move on to our next story. We've only got a few minutes here. And that is, well, you never think who is winning the grocery store battle, Anthony. It's Aldi, everybody. The stores that everybody talks about, like Trader Joe's and Publix, and then you talk about Costco and Sam's Club. Sure, they're doing okay. But the real winner, man, it is Aldi, everybody. I started thinking about this story because I saw two things had happened. Number one, they were talking about the battle between Costco and Sam's Club. Each have about 600 stores right now and are taking a different approach to how they acquire new customers. I also saw that Publix lost its number one spot for the first time in the American Customer Satisfaction Index. They lost it to Trader Joe's. And I started thinking, I'm like, well, who's actually got the most growth? Who's the store that's actually dominating? Is it Publix, Trader Joe's, Costco, Sam's? Who is dominating the grocery store battle? And what do you think? Aldi, everybody. Aldi should have, get this, 2,500 stores by 2028. They are doing it by just quietly sitting in the middle between stores like Publix and Trader Joe's and Costco and Sam's. Now, normally the middle ground is never where you want to find yourself, but they are doing it in a way that is so unique and awesome. Here's how Aldi has been successful. While stores like Publix carry 40,000 items on average, Aldi carries 1,400 items. They don't carry the name brand stuff like you're going to find over at Publix or Trader Joe's. They carry a single brand over there, keeping costs about 15 to 20% lower than the premium stores, but also offering more items at a better price than you're going to find at Costco and Sam's. Now, by more items, I mean you don't have to buy in bulk. So you can actually still buy the items that you need without having to buy a 40 pack of toilet paper. They do stuff like self-checkout, and of course, you have to pay a quarter if you rent or a shopping cart, right? So little things like that are making up for their margins right now. So they're not carrying as many items. They have the checkout situation figured out. They're not stocking the shelves with 20 employees like Publix does, so they don't have the overhead. And then you have to do small things like you have to pay for a shopping cart. Those things together are helping them to be the more profitable company than Publix, Traders, and all these others right now. And they are sneaking their way in here to winning the grocery store battle. I got to admit, I went to an Aldi's about a week ago. I was like, I get it. It's small because it's only on average, I said 1,400 items. It's not a big store, but it has the things that you need. Yes. Is it going to have Heinz ketchup every time? No. It may have a different brand of ketchup that's in there. But what you're going to find is it has the items that families need and you don't have to buy in bulk. They're winning this battle right now, sitting in a middle ground where normally you never want to sit, by better selection, better pricing, and honestly, their locations are decent and they're finding a way to get the real estate that is in a place that people are willing to travel to get those deals. I'm surprised at Aldi. I'm surprised at Aldi right here. Have you been in one?
Yeah, Aldi's is great.
Right?
Yeah.
I get it.
And, honestly, it's like the same thing. Some of the brands, like, I know it's like not the real brand, tastes the same.
I think most of the time it does, right? Ketchup might be one of the things that I have to say I'm a little bit iffy on, but like mayonnaise, like, all right, mayonnaise is mayonnaise. If you're going to charge me $1 less for it, I'll grab my mayonnaise there. Yeah. So I think they're doing a great play right here. Shout out to Aldi. I mean, just quietly sneaking its way into winning this battle. Our final story of the day, is we only have a few more minutes left, is this. UPS, well, it's killed its golden goose, and it is about to fall off a cliff like no other. Let me tell you, folks, for over 20 years, Amazon was UPS's biggest customer. At its peak, Amazon was about 12% of the UPS revenue. That's about $1 billion back in 2024. But I'm not sure if you noticed, you see a lot more of those Amazon trucks on the road, don't you? Not too many more of those UPS trucks you used to see 2 to 3 years ago. It's because they have built up their logistical dominance and they don't need UPS anymore. UPS is starting to show the kinks in its armor right now. The damage so far, 48,000 jobs cut in 2025, another 30,000 jobs cut in 2026. 93 facilities have closed last year. 20 more facilities are closing the first half of this year. I want people to understand this is what happens when you get cocky and you get leadership that doesn't understand you got a golden goose, and sometimes you got to go ahead and kiss their butt. It started, I want everyone to understand this, back in January of 2025 when UPS's CEO said this, quote, Amazon is our largest customer, but it's not our most profitable customer. It started to kind of tear away at that relationship. And if you don't think Amazon looks at that and goes, oh, really? Watch us just go ahead and dominate logistics. You think we needed you? It was a nice thing, but now we're going to go and do it ourselves. Meanwhile, we haven't seen that people are flocking out of UPS because of the promises that they're making to pivot into healthcare logistics, where they plan on shipping medications, medical devices, vaccines, blood, and lab samples. Healthcare companies are willing to pay a premium for this because it has to have good tracking. A lot of times you have to keep the medications and stuff cold. So I want everyone to understand this. UPS is saying 12% of my business is gone, but somehow I'm going to make up for it by going into a new market where there's established competition of DHL and FedEx, and I'm going to go ahead and make up that 12% through healthcare logistics right now. Because don't worry, Amazon wasn't a big part of our business because they weren't the most profitable part of our business. If I am a UPS shareholder, I am looking at this closely every day because it is just a matter of time now before the numbers catch up and they fall off a cliff. Yes, they're doing a slowdown of their work with Amazon, which is why you're not seeing the drop right away. But over the next 6 months, as we come into 2027, UPS will not be needed nearly as much. Amazon will take over full control of their logistics, and they will find that they are not able to compete with FedEx and DHL. And that's when you see the revenue drop for UPS The panic set in, and I'm telling you, sell, sell, sell on UPS because the numbers don't look good right now. Folks, unfortunately, I have to wrap up the show right. There are 5 topics of the day. We had to get it to you early in the morning. Hope you enjoyed this one. K-shaped economy, watch out for it. We're watching it here for you. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Patrick Carr Show. Thanks, everybody. Awesome. Looks like I'm going to close this right here. I'm going to go over to that meeting right now.